What's going on, everyone? We're live at 5 here in zombie format. Very, very cool stuff. It's a very, very fun format. I just need to add some more people to the locals here because we got some last minute signups to bring this tournament up to 7 people right now. So that's pretty cool. So if we can get one more, we'll at 8. And yeah, so hopefully we get that. But we'll see. I'm just double checking the lists here to make sure they're all legal for zombie format. Looks like they are indeed so far. So I'll add these last couple stragglers to the participants list here. So we had 4 initially, but we actually got a couple more, so it should be pretty fun here. Sorry, while I'm doing this, I'm not going to be as active in the chat area, but and let's see. It seems like we might have one more. Okay, looks like we got one more coming. Just need to verify the list, and then we'll be good to go there. But we got 8 people for this. I'm excited. I didn't necessarily expect to get this many. And today's a busy day in the retro Yu-Gi-Oh sphere. I mean, I'm sure if you're on YouTube right now watching things, you're aware that people are, playing in multiple Edison tournaments, a GOAT tournament as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. As Prada said, zombies. Oh yeah. These zombies, they're in my head. They're in my head. If people know that song. Great song, by the way. I was thinking about like sneaking it into the thumbnail, but like I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing to like fit into that sort of thing. So I just went with the typical zombie power. But yeah, Cranberries, great band, great stuff. I think Zombies is probably my favorite song in theirs, although Dreams is also good. I know those are the two basic ones. But they're basic for a reason because they're both really good. So I like them a lot. But yeah, we'll be getting started very, very soon. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just letting people know that yeah, we'll be getting started soon. But anyways, while we wait, I can sort of show off the format library page for zombie format. I know this is kind of cut off by my cropping here, but the big thing here is like the ban list, and the card pool is the same as it's not quite the same as Perfect Circle, but the ban list is the same as Perfect Circle. Just the September 2007 ban list here. So it banned a lot of things like Meta's banned now, Ring is banned now, Dust Shoot limited, Breaker limited as well. So yeah, I think it's a pretty healthy list. Smashing Around and Fisher for some reason were limited too, but I don't hate that. The Gadget semi-limited, Mally semi-limited. Yeah, it's a good list overall, I think. But the big thing is the card pool, so there's no Lad, despite Perfect Circle Monarch here having Lad in it. Also, zombies do not have Mizuki and Goblin Zombie, but these images are mainly generated from just a compilation of all the decks in that category. But hello, Ben L. Welcome to the stream from one Ben to another. Happy to have you back here. But yeah, we're going to be having a fun locals today. Hopefully we will be started soon. Okay, looks like this will be good. Let me check. Yep. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'll add the last person blah to the bracket there. I'm going to shuffle the seeds twice, as I always do. That's 1. That is 2. And now we'll dive in to the tournament. Good luck, everyone. I'll post this in the YGO from Zero Discord server where we hold these locals events every week. So if you want to play in these for yourself, head on over there. Also, we've got monthly tournaments in, multi-day format. So, if you don't have time for a single day event, you can do this sort of thing. The locals actually just started, Ben L. So, yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that you wanted to play in it. But yeah, we reached 8, so I just ran it there. Because we were supposed to start at 5, but one person was just signing up in that process. So, yeah. But, check the YGO from Zero Discord server in the future if you want to be notified when the next locals are going to be happening. So that way you can join more in the future. Yeah. I mean, watching just on YouTube, I guess it is kind of last minute. Maybe I should start doing YouTube community posts. Actually, I'll start doing that. I'll start doing community posts just saying, hey, we got a locals coming up tomorrow. Head over to the YGO from Zero Discord server if you want to join, because I do know that some people like are not on the Discord server. Some people just watch the videos and streams and stuff. So that's a good idea. I'll do that in the future. So hopefully you'll be notified on that, and we'll be able to prepare for that in the future. So yeah. But as is, we got some games that will be going on soon. We got Clemens versus Wagamuffin and Seoul versus Kesha. I actually want to jump into Clemens versus Wagamuffin. But yeah, my Lucid Gerbil says, give the stream a like before the zombies chow down on your brains. Yeah, give it a like down below. It really helps out the channel quite a bit. Also, we're trying to reach 2,000 subs. That'd be really cool to reach at some point. So, yeah. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship games are pretty cool to practice around this time period, although it's not quite the same as the TCG formats because they go by OCG lists. But, you know, it is still fun, and it captures the feeling of the time, which is what people really like to play these retro formats for anyways. So, but it's fun playing against real people as well. So, Sidra coming down from Wagamuffin attacking over the set, which is a Flying Kamakiri #1. Okay, very interesting stuff here. A wind monster that's going to bring out a monster from the deck there. So, seems like Clemens is on a bit of an interesting deck, which who could have thunk? Maybe not me, although, you know, I do have access to all the deck lists, so, you know, I might have picked this game for a reason. But, yeah, it is very fun, and, of course, as Ben L says, it shows some decks people might not be thinking of playing, and that's one of the cool things about the video games, that they do have a lot of interesting stuff going on in them that you might not necessarily see elsewhere. But Ryza coming down, spinning back, that set monster attacking in to the side row. So trying to clean up the board a little bit here. It looks like that will indeed succeed. So that's going to get in for 300. And Wagamuffin is draw locked this turn, but MST will deal with that back row. So it seems like Wagamuffin has a way to deal with this Ryza here, which could be bad news for Clemens. So they are going to summon out Injection Fairy Lily. Yep, that will indeed be an out to the Ryza here. And bring that out attack over the Ryza. You do pay 2,000, but you are clearing that, and you're also dropping your opponent down by 1,000. So, but yeah, Ben also says, I wish they had a World Championship game in English after Xyz Monsters were released. Yeah, that'd be cool, but they had some other games, I think, after that. So, you can play those probably, but it is zombie time, as PJ Arts of Darkness says now. I'm excited to get to the Xyz era. Right now, we got the Synchro era looming in the future. It'll be here in probably like 2 months at max. I know I've been going a bit slow lately in my video release. Hopefully I'll be able to up the rate of that now that I've sort of sorted away some IRL stuff that I was doing at the beginning of the year. But it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to synchros. I'm looking forward to exploring 5Ds because I feel like a lot of people dived into Edison, which is, you know, makes sense because Edison's a great format. But I'm excited to see what else the 5Ds era has to offer. I feel like people haven't really done much with it compared to things like GX and DM, because with GX and DM, it's like people go back to it because they're like, oh, well, I want a time from before when extra deck monsters were more commonplace and things like that. But oh, this is actually lethal damage if it all connects here. BrainCon on the Lily, attacking in for 34 plus 24. The Ryza attacking in first. This makes sense because you do want your opponent to be down before you actually go for the 2,000 cost in case they do have something here. But yeah, that will indeed be the end of game one. So Clemens 12 taking it there with the Wind Tech there. Let's dive into another game here. I just want to jump into Gerbil versus Jim Bob, and we see more Wind Tech. So I might have picked 2 Wind players here to show off first. Wind is making a resurgence in this local specifically. I don't know why, but listen, as a Wind enthusiast, I'm happy to see it. Back when Reaper Form was popular, I got on the Wind hype train a bit, and I actually topped an event with a Wind deck. It wasn't my creation alone. There were plenty of other people who innovated on it before I did, but I'm just happy that I managed to get a top with it, so that was very cute. But yeah, Harpy Blade 1 attacking into the DD Assailant, and then the Kamakiri will attack over that DD Assailant. Unfortunately, it will be banished here, but you do clear that off the field. And you still have the 1600 guy here in very scantily clad clothing. Prada asks, where be the Sylphid? And maybe we'll see that coming. I mean, Sylphid is a thing you can play in this deck because it's just a good extension monster. You know, you banish a Wind from your graveyard, special summon it out. If it's destroyed by battle, you rip a card out of your opponent's hand, but if not, you contribute it for something like a Monarch, so that's pretty good. Breaker coming down, and it's going to do the effect to add the counter. That will indeed go through, and it will indeed use the effect on that set card there. hitting a Macrocosmos. Not a bad thing to hit. And they're going to attack in for 3,200. I think they maybe could have saved the counter because maybe they're like, well, I was able to attack in last turn and they didn't have anything for that. But there's the reason that, like, with the Assailant being set there, you know, Jim Bob knew they were safe, so they didn't have to Mirror Force that. So there's the argument they could have been like a Mirror Force or something to stop the breaker. And so you do want to hit that. But hitting a macro is not bad. Especially because this seems to be macro monarchs, or at least macro something, because you got the DD survivors, and there's the Ryza, wind monster here, coming down, probably spinning back that set monster. It will indeed spin back the set, or at least attempt to, and that will indeed go through. Now they're going to attack in. Mirror Force be damned, probably isn't the force, but it's a book setting down that Ryza, so that will protect Jim Bob here from a fair bit of damage. They're still going to take 1,600, and they are drawing into the same monster they had last turn, so it's not necessarily ideal for them here. Harpy Lady 1 attacking in here directly is lethal damage, so it looks like they are going to have to bring out that Banish for the Radiance, but that's going to get bottomless trap hold, and that will indeed be the end of the game. So Wynn's taking these game ones. Okay, I'm for it. I'm here to see the Wynn decks doing their thing. Let's dive into Soul versus Kesha before we dive into Dumbstruck versus History of YGO1. Looks like this game is going into game 2, so we'll dive into Dumbstruck versus History of YGO1 here. And we'll see how that game's getting on. Seems like Dumbstruck won game 1. History of YGO1 started with an e-call for a Stratos into searching something. And so they're going to set 2 and pass back to Dumbstruck here, it looks like. That will indeed go through. And what will Dumbstruck do against this board? This is a very, very common starting board in something like Purge Circle or Zombie because the hero engine is very, very good, not just in Purge Circle Monarch, but in a variety of decks. So it seems like Breaker's going to come down. Is that going to break a back row, or are they just going to say, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to attack in over the Stratos with my Breaker? I feel like if it was me, I'd probably just go for the Breaker, pop a back row, because you do have a way to get over the Stratos otherwise. You could also wait, just attack him with Sidra first. If they do something here, then you could potentially do something, but looks like they're going to go for Interdimensional Matter Transporter, banishing that Stratos for the turn, and you know that will protect the Stratos, but it does mean you're taking a fair bit of damage. Of course, the Widespread Ruin will stop the Sidra, so unfortunately for Dumbstruck, they kind of got the wrong 50-50 there. You kind of wanted to hit the Ruin instead of the Interdimensional Matter Transporter, because now this thing should come back. It should be back. Okay, yeah, it's back. There it is. Heavy Storm on the back row that could potentially stop what Dumbstruck has here to deal with that Stratos. They're thinking about it, though, so it could be Book of Moon. That'd be the thing that I would guess that they'd be thinking on. Could be Raigeki Break as well. Or Wind Blast. Yep, Wind Blast is another big thing, because if you spin back that Stratos, then they're drawing into a next turn. They get the effect off next turn as well. This means that they couldn't have searched out Alias. Well, I mean, I guess it could have, but, like, I feel like they wouldn't have done this if the search was an Alias off the Stratos, so probably not Alias there. And no sets there, so that's very interesting. Interesting stuff here. Ryza, okay, that explains more of why they were willing to go for the spin back, because now this Stratos is going to be 2 cards down as opposed to 1. So attacking in for 2,400 here. And Sakuretsu Armor will come down, stop that Ryza from hitting in there. So a bit unfortunate for Dumbstruck, but we do know that History of YGO1 is just drawing a back row. Could be an Ocean in hand. That might be something that they, yep, looks like Ocean's coming down, getting 15. Makes sense here. You want to get the aggression going, and if you have a way to protect the Ocean, which it seems like they probably do, then you can just protect it by setting that down. Setting 2, actually, passing back, saying, I'm not afraid of heavy. If you got heavy, I just lose. So I just got to recognize that and go for what I'm doing, you know? And I respect that. Looks like Ocean Control versus Perfect Circle Monarch. Yep, that does indeed seem to be the matchup here, PJ. Soul Exchange, though, is going to be really annoying for History of YGO1. Seems like they don't have an Interdimensional Matter Transport for that, but they are able to tribute sets and pass back. So that means that has to be a Mali, probably. Otherwise, just summon out a Ryza. Going for, okay, I was going to say going for the Stratos with no effect is wild. There's no, like, effect Veiler or anything in this format, and if there was, you'd still probably want to bait out the Veiler. But, yeah, searching out an Ocean there. And then attacking over the set, which is probably that Mali. Yep, it is indeed the Mali, but it seems like Dumbstruck probably doesn't have a, you know, like Monarch to actually use with that in hand, or else if you got Ryza, you're probably just summoning out Ryza, spinning back and back row, and preventing that Stratos from coming down as much as possible. Gold Sark here to banish a card, unless it's like Scout Plane. I don't think it's going to do anything immediately, but it does get you set up for a couple turns down the line. So it's going to banish a Heavy Storm, makes sense. This is a very back row heavy deck. Of course, this will probably mean that History of YGO1 just does not set any more cards into that, or if they do, they've probably got like a Solemn or something like that. So Very, very telegraphed play here from Dump Truck, but sometimes you got to telegraph, you know. And they're going to go for a Spy activation here. So Spy being able to bring out another Spy. Neither of those can attack over the Ocean or the Stratos, but it does fill up your board a little bit more. So that's pretty good here. Yep, that's turn EG on the Gold Sark. We're going to be going into turn Ni very, very soon, but looks like a card trooper going to come down here. It looks like no negation there. Going to mill 3 off that, milling a Stratos of Dump Truck's own, and then you probably attack into the Ocean. Yep, there's the Ocean attack there. Going to go for widespread. That will stop the card trooper, but you do get a draw here if you're Dump Truck, but you're probably not too upset about that. I'm going to pass back to History of YGL1 here. History of YGL1 can just bounce back the Stratos if they so wish, and it looks like they are going to add back the Ocean instead. They don't really value the extra search on the Stratos, especially since the Ocean add back is basically just another search on the Stratos. So I think that does make some sense there. Gold Sark expires, you get back Heavy Storm. You can Heavy Storm away all that back row if you so wish, although there is an argument not to if you don't really have any follow-up to this. They're going to Interdimensional Matter Transporter away the Ocean to be able to bring it back at the end of the turn and then add back the Stratos to hand next turn. And they're also going to hit a Dust Shoot off that. So not the most ideal things to hit in the back row. You probably want to hit more live back row, but still, you know, one card in hand is an Ocean, another's an Unknown. Could be a back row to protect these Stratos or something, but it looks like we'll have to find out next turn. Mali going to get banished here, bringing out another Mali. So this means that there probably is a way to tribute here, and it looks like there will indeed be that. Jinzo coming down. Jinzo's going to be a bit nasty here. Honestly, they probably could have gone for that beforehand, but they're probably trying to play around certain things. I don't know. I feel like what I probably would have done here is I probably would have just tributed over one of the Spies for a Jinzo, then gone heavy, because it does prevent this sort of circumstance from happening where they actually get to banish the Ocean. But I guess this does mean that you can clear like the Stratos. Like, I don't know. It just seems kind of awkward here because now you add back Stratos. You can go Stratos into Captain Gold. Captain Gold pitch for Skyscraper, activate Skyscraper, run over the Jinzo. And that obviously is not ideal for Dump Truck here. But we don't know if History of YGL1's playing Captain Gold here. I think it's a good option in these style of decks, but it looks like they're just going to add another Ocean. They might already have Captain Gold in hand, but it looks like they're just going to get over both those Spies here, not go for the Skyscraper play. Ben also says it would be funny if a tournament could be held using the early day collection game on this channel. I think with the early day collection, I think people probably are going to try and do that. It's not really the focus of my channel because I focus more on just the TCG formats themselves, not the video games. But it would be cool to see if people did run a tournament like that. I assume there will be one or two when that does come out. But yeah, searching out a Warrior Lady here. Warrior Lady actually kind of nasty against Ocean Control because you summon a Warrior Lady, banish the Stratos, and that is not good for History of YGL1's deck because the whole point of the deck is basically revolve around bringing back the Stratos over and over again, and this is actually potentially a disastrous blow. And it looks like Dump Truck is going to bring out that Warrior Lady, attack into the Stratos, I assume, and yeah, there they go. Now, History of YGL1 could have things like a Return from the Different Dimension, especially if you're playing Interdimensional Matter Transporter or a Dimension Fusion or something. It basically gives you another way to summon out a monster, namely that Stratos. And if you do that, then you potentially, get things set up. But unfortunately, it looks like they're just going to set 2 and pass back. Traps are shut off, so that has to be like a Shrink or a Book or something like that in order to deal with that Jinzo. Looks like they're just going to set 1 and pass back. Prada says his city deck just became a little bit smaller. Yep. Unfortunately, it did. And yeah, I mean, I can see if you're playing the Interdimensional Matter Transporters, playing Return and stuff like that, that could be interesting to do at least. Knock on the set, hitting a Fearmonger there. Ultimately, probably won't matter too much, but you still want to do it. Just get a monster off board and use the knock while you have it. You might as well. Hitting over that Ocean, yeah, I mean, probably just going to be the Ocean set. That is a sign of desperation, though, because it means History of YGL1 not have the most good monsters in hand, it seems like right now. Setting another back row into that Jinzo. Oof, this is going to be a rough one. Now, Book can potentially save you here, but Treeborn Frog will come down, trying to get in for lethal, and that will indeed be the end of that game. So it seems like Dump Truck moving on, taking down the Ocean Control deck. Sad to see it. Ocean Control is just a little bit out of its depth a lot of the time thing in this format, but Dad not legal in this format, thank goodness. I've been dealing with too much Dad already, over the course of exploring the Dad Return format, which I'm currently in. But in this format, we are Dad free, so Dad is still out with the milk and the cigarettes or whatever else he's getting. So, yep, thank you, PJ. I'm glad that someone picked up on the pun, but yeah, the Ocean pun. Sniper coming down here, pitching a Mausoleum. Seems like Soul is on a bit of a spicy deck here, going with Eradicator, Epidemic Virus, and Demok there. Very, very cool stuff, along with Mausoleum. So I think we've seen Soul play this style of deck before, playing a very interesting like Dark Magician deck around this time. Very, very cool stuff. And, you know, it's awesome to see Dark Magician actually be able to be played in some capacity in these earlier formats. Of course, you might wonder what's the point of playing Dark Magician here, and the reason for that is you've got like Dedication of Light and Darkness, which contribute to Dark Magician, summon out a Demok, and Demok's very, very good. You got Eradicator, Epidemic Virus to tribute that as well, so that's pretty good as well. But Thought of Avarice will be able to shovel back everything here, and makes sense because the Call of the Haunted just shut off because I assume it brought back an Exiled to then tribute that, and so that means that you're not getting back that call to hand. You're not clearing it from the field, really. And so it's going to be a bit rough for you if you want to actually deal with that. But, yeah. And pitching a Mali off the D-draw is going to be pretty good here. You can banish the Mali, tribute that, or you can just tribute summon normally with the Mausoleum. Although I actually don't know if Mausoleum will trigger Monarch effects. That's an interesting question. Because Monarchs, I think they say like when this card is tribute summoned, and I'm not sure if Mausoleum counts as a tribute summon or not. So that's an interesting thing. But Mali's engraved, so that's going to be pretty good for Kesha as follow-up later if they need it. If they don't want to pay life points as well, that's pretty decent. It's only 600 life points as well. I forgot to mention this, which does shut off Mausoleum for them. So Mausoleum is basically just a liability for them on the field there. They're going to pitch a Prima, which is also dead for them, trying to hit that set monster. And unfortunately, there's the 6. Yep, that's Snipe Hunter for you. Snipe Hunter's just nasty. I dislike Snipe Hunter on many levels. Yes, people are like, oh, well, you summon it out and you mainly do it for pitching a graveyard. And it's like, yeah, in an ideal case, that's true. But a lot of the time, you're just doing it because you really do need to hit something. And then whenever you do really need to hit something, you always miss. So, yeah, it's going to be rough. They're going to hit Tomato off that Sniper, and that's going to be pretty good for them there. And then they're going to go for a Rota to get the aggression going even harder here. What are they rotating out in this deck? That is a bit of an interesting question. Yeah, I don't quite know. Okay, Elusive Mirror clarified that Mausoleum does not count as a tribute summon. Thank you, Elusive Mirror, for that. Yeah, so unfortunately for Kesha, they won't really be able to use this to trigger their, Monarch effects. But if you do want to just bring out a big guy, that's also a good option there. And with 1500 and 1500 on field here, if you do ever bring out a big guy and just attack over one of these things, then Soul could be dying. So obviously you do want to just, probably summon out Rise to spin back the back row, right? That would obviously be very good. But it looks like they're just Monarchless here, I assume. Otherwise, they would go for a play here. And this is going to be close to lethal damage here, so that is going to be a bit tricky for for Kesha to deal with here. It's going to be dropping Kesha down to 100 life points, a measly 100 here. And that is going to be a bit scary to deal with. Now, Sidra off the top is going to be very good. We do know that Kesha does have Sidras in the deck. Looks like they're just going to set one. Banish a Mali just to defend themselves. Oof, that is rough. Yeah. Sometimes it's like this, Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Again, Sidra off the top is indeed lethal here if that set card's nothing. And with Decree up, it might be nothing. So, yeah, a bit interesting going for the Snipe Hunter because this is lethal if you manage to connect with this. Trying to hit over the set, and that will indeed connect. So that's going to hit the set monster. Get rid of that, and that will be the end of the game. I think, actually, you do have to reveal the set monster because that is the card resolving, not the cost. So, yeah, I think you do have to reveal it. But, yeah. Anyways, very, very exciting game, too, there. Let's dive into some of the wind games, see how those are going here. So, have those wrapped up? Oh, I think the Clemens one might have wrapped up. How's that happened? That is not. Where is that one? Where is... Maybe it did wrap up. Okay, it did wrap up. It seems like Wagamuffin lost that one. So let's dive into the Gerbil one. See how Wind is doing there. So it seems like it's 1-1. Oh, Hysteric Party coming down with the Harpies there. Let me just put this in. So Clemens moving on to the next round. And yeah, so Solemn on the Assailant. Getting rid of that makes sense because this is not quite lethal, but it is very, very close to lethal here if you connect. And it looks like this will indeed connect. So that's dropping Jim Bob down to 300 life points. Wowza. That is a very, very low amount of life points there. Very, very scary for Jim Bob here. But we have seen, Soul managed to come back from that game with 600 life points. So there are things you can do with it. Bottomless to protect the Harpy Lady 1 to give you a potential lethal shot next turn. Makes sense. Even though the survival will be coming back, if you can hit over it with the Queen next turn, then you do win the game. So I think it makes a lot of sense to do this. Do they have a way to deal with that set card, or are they just going to attack into it? They might just have to attack into it. Now the question is, do you switch the Harpy Lady 1 to defense here? I think you do, because it can't beat over the survivor anyways. So you switch it to defense to play around Mirror Force, so that way if it is Mirror Force, you're not dead completely, right? But it's very likely that that set card is not a like Battle Trap, I would assume. Although, it could be. But we've seen no banish cards from Jim Bob yet. So my money would be on a banish card. Either way here, I think you just switch the Lady 1 to defense, attack in with the Queen, and... Oh, sorry. I think you attack in with the Harpy Lady after switching the Harpy Lady to defense. But it looks like there's going to be a Book of Moon on the Harpy Queen, so that's going to set that down. I think the Hysteric Party... I actually don't know what that was connected to, but... yeah, so now probably Harpy Lady 1 to defense, I assume. Maybe not. Maybe you just leave it in attack. Chill with that. But I feel like defense makes sense. It's a good motto. Defense makes sense, But yeah, a bit of a thinker for Gerbil here. Oh, it's a breaker. Okay, so they would have won the game if that breaker had come down, popped the set. So they were playing around TT there, which I think made a lot of sense. Yeah, I still don't get leaving the Lady 1 in attack here. I think that's kind of iffy, but they're going to pop the Hysteric Party here, so they'll pop the Lady 1, so it seems like that was brought back with that. And then the Mobius will attack over the breaker. So sometimes you take a gamble, and sometimes it doesn't pay off for you. I think I personally would have just summoned out the breaker, tried to pop the TT, because, if it is TT, they lose their survivors. So, like, it's not like they're going to be able to do anything with that. And unfortunately here, you're just losing the game. So, wow, that was a heartbreaker. That was a rough one. But yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that does happen. But I think in general, you just want to play around the thing that, like, I get playing around TT there. But at the same time, like, TT is the one card that stops that versus, like, Mirror Force, Book, a lot of other things. So it's just weighing the odds. I think you generally want to summon out Breaker to pop there. If it's pulling, you don't care about that because you still got Queen to attack over. So, yeah, I think you probably just summon out Breaker there most times. But, if it was TT, egg would be on my face, I guess. But, yeah, rough stuff there. Breaker is indeed based. I love Breaker. Very, very cool card in general. So, it seems like Jim Bobber's Dump Truck is going to happen soon. And meanwhile, we got Soul versus Kesha. So, let's dive into this one. Seems like Mausoleum has come down, bringing out the Dark Magician. Yo, Dark Magician here. Very, very cool stuff there. Also, I'm sad we didn't get to show off Wagamuffin's deck a bit more, because Wagamuffin is, I believe, the only player to actually bring Zombie to this event. So, unfortunately, Zombie not doing too hot here, but it makes sense because Zombie, unfortunately, while it is the namesake deck of the format, and while it did win the original SJC Durham, which this format's based on, it unfortunately is not the best in hindsight. Perfect Circle Monarch, very, very good against it. I don't know if Wind is really that good against it, but, like, it's just, I do feel like it's kind of fallen in estimation here. But Crucial Virus tributing that Disc Commander, hitting the Dark Magician and a Demonic in hand. The Spy on field is not hit by that, but the rest of the hand is revealed to the Crush Card Virus. Absolutely nuts card. And yeah, I'm also glad that Breaker finally got banned. It deserved it. In Dad Return format, I mean, that thing would just be too powerful, Yeah, I don't know why they rebanned it in Dad Return. That's just, I don't know why they did that. They did not need to do that. They just kicked the card while it's down, It's already kind of power crept by everything else in the format, and then you're like, no, this is actually a problem, I guess it's a dark, so you're like, well, it is a dark card. We don't want people having another powerful dark, but, like, I don't know. You let people have 3 dads, It's, ugh, yeah. But passing back to Kesha here. So Crush Card is going to be very, very good for them. Of course, a Crush Card Ball, a back-breaking blow is not necessarily the end of the game for a lot of decks. So, they can still come back from this, but definitely is going to be a bit more iffy. Kesha setting another monster there, passing back to Soul. So it seems like they don't really have much aggressive pressure here. Hitting a Breaker there, so that's going to be pretty good. Of course, Call the Haunted is a bit annoying for Kesha because Soul could call the Haunted back that Demok here. I'm not sure. I guess they're holding it because they don't have a good spell engraved to actually use. But yeah. Soul's a relinquished enthusiast. Soul's a dark magician enthusiast. They're an enthusiast for a lot of anime decks and a lot of cool decks as well. They're a very, very good innovator in these formats. So always cool to see what they bring here. Why is original RTT or RT the best? I don't know what RT stands for. But yeah, I don't know exactly because I don't know what RT stands for. Original retro Tugio? I don't know. But yeah, yeah, it's gonna be tough for Soul here. They can flip up the Spy, but I mean, I guess I get this because you want to get over your opponent's things, prevent them from bringing out their own Demog, I guess. But like, this does seem a little bit iffy. Okay, Birthright here to bring back the Dark Magician. Okay. We'll see if this goes through. It could be a Crow coming down here, but it looks like they're going to try and get aggressive with that. Bringing it back. Tagging into set monster number 1, hitting into the Fearmonger. That's going to be very good for Kesha here next turn because Fearmonger can deal, or not deal, but it can bring back the Disc Commander and then draw 2. So, unfortunately, Soul's aggressive push did not quite work out for them here. But it's not the worst outcome, I guess. It's just Kesha's going to go up a lot of cards here, have a Disc Commander distribute next turn as well. So it's just going to be really, really bad. But yeah, that's basically the worst 2 cards it could be. As Battleship Gerbil says, Fearmonger Reaper, ouch. Ouch indeed. And no Crow. We know that there's no Crow because Crush Card Virus is still active on Soul here. So yeah, I think it's 1 more turn on Crush Card. Yeah, 1 more turn on Crush Card. So if Kesha does not have something to tribute out here, then that is going to be wild. But Vortex is also going to be very good here. Pitching a Mally on top of that. Oh, my word. Kesha is just cracked. They're cracked. Oh, man. Card Trooper coming down as well. So Card Trooper milling 3. And then you switch the Reaper to attack to get in for 300 more damage here. That's going to be very, very good. You can even go for a Mally here, honestly. I wouldn't necessarily think that that's a bad decision here. Just to get in more damage. But you know what, Call the Haunted, so I guess you don't necessarily want to expose yourself to that. But I don't hate just going for Mally here just to cut them off of another 1,000 life points that they can pay. So, listen, no worries, Rackrats. We've all been there, you know? Yeah. But what was the question? I'm curious. But yeah, this is the last turn on Crush Card, I believe. Yep. It's just a Gravekeeper's Guard, which honestly matches up pretty well into this board. Card Trooper can't get over it, so it can be pretty good for Soul here. Now, Soul could potentially just summon out Guard, attack over the Trooper, but I would not recommend that. I feel like that's a bit awkward. But honestly, this game state's just awkward for Soul. Yeah, setting the call there as well. Kesha is in possession of full information of what's on the board here. And yeah, it's probably not looking too hot for Soul here. Banishing the Mally now. Bring that out. So yeah, I mean, I assume Kesha's got to get into a Monarch at some point, right? It seems like they are on Perfect Circle Monarch. So they got to get it out at some point, right? And then there goes the Trooper again, milling 3 more. Okay, there's a Zaborg. So interesting that this deck is playing heavy Monarchs, it seems like, not just, you know, your Rises and stuff. But they're going to go for pre-mat here, probably for Stratos, I assume, right? Stratos pop 2 Spell Traps. That's pretty good. So, okay, for Zaborg instead, I guess this gets over the Guard. This means that they don't have a way to deal with Guard, I guess. So, damn, that's kind of wild. I don't know about switching Reaper to defense. I mean, I guess you know your opponent has Call the Haunted back there, but that's why you go for Stratos instead, right? Like, Stratos is disastrous here for Soul because it pops the Mausoleum, and then you're in, like, a much better spot if you're Kesha. But I mean, I don't know. I think Kesha's still in a good spot. I think they're probably going to win this one either way, but I probably would have gone for the Stratos there. But yeah, no Monarchs from Kesha. That is wild. That is wild. This far into the deck, no Monarchs. That is brutal. But this does give Soul an opportunity to come back potentially. If they draw a power spell as well, they can bring back the Demok, bring it back. So you could also go Call the Haunted for Demok and then Heavy Storm the board. I feel like that's kind of not the best, but you could do it if you wanted to. But yeah, going for Call the Haunted on probably the DMOC. No, just Dark Magician. Okay, DD Crow on the Dark Magician. So this is why I guess Kesha did not care about that Call the Haunted being there, because they need to DD Crow it, so it makes sense. Where's the Needle Sealing? Asked Prada. I agree. We need Needle Sealing in this deck. Honestly, Needle Sealing would probably be good in this style of deck. If you're playing a bunch of monsters that are set anyways, then that seems pretty good to me. But unfortunately, it seems like Soul does not have it. So, yeah. Yeah, that might be a bit disastrous there, that banishing of the Dark Magician. So, yeah, this could be the end of the game coming up here. We'll have to see what happens. You have to switching everything to attack here. That's going to be 14 plus 24. So that will indeed be lethal if this all connects. And it looks like it probably is going to. So Reaper attacking in, Disc attacking in, and the Mally attacking in as well. So there we go. Pretty good stuff there from Kesha taking on this game here and going in to face off against Clemens. So there we go. Unfortunately, the Dark Magician deck fell, but it did manage to win a game. So that is pretty exciting there. Looks like they just drew into a Dedication of Light and Darkness, which is not going to help them there, unfortunately. But we got Dump Truck versus Jim Bob to jump into as well. Seems like Dump Truck won game one, but Jim Bob's opening with a Banisher, which is going to be a bit annoying for Dump Truck's deck to deal with, honestly. So we'll see what they do to actually try and deal with it. They're going to bring out a Stratos here, search out a hero monster from deck. I wonder which one you search under these circumstances. Probably you just search like Disc Commander or Mally or something to set up for main phase 2D draw here. But yeah. Not a hero fan, but appreciate Stratos, says Rakraz. And yeah, I mean, I like Stratos. I'm a hero fan though, so you know, I'm biased, but I think Stratos is a cool card in a variety of decks in this format. It's just really neat. And D-Draw is going to be pretty good. It pitches for cost, so even if you chain like Macrocosmos to this, you won't actually be able to stop the Disc Commander from being banished. So it's going to be pretty good. Dump Truck going to draw 2 here. Let's see what they draw into. I mean, we might not see it yet, but that's going to probably be pretty good for them there. Yummy, yummy water. I love water. Jim Bob said, I'm never wasting half my life on a D-draw. Sometimes you got to. Sometimes you got to. I will say. Like, if you're down to, like, the final cards in hand, and they just go D-draw, pitch the Disc Commander to the last thing, and they got nothing else on board, I'd sell them that. But, yeah, probably not in this game state, you know. You wouldn't do it. But Bribe is something you could do, although Bribe's also awkward because it gives them a card anyways, so, like, kind of gets the value for them there because you're losing a card and they're gaining a card, so it's basically like them going the same amount of plus. So, yeah. But Jim Bob thonking here in main one. It looks like they got a Dim Fizz here as well, setting 1 and then passing back. But Dump Truck already has that Disc Commander engraved, so they're probably not too upset about this. Going for Dust Tornado, hitting a TT. That's going to be a pretty good one to get rid of there. Mask of Restrict coming down, though. Hold up. That is going to put a hamper on the Monarch game plan. But, you know, Dump Truck probably has a bunch of outs to spell traps in their deck now. I mean, we see Dust Tornado here. That might not be a main decked inclusion. And they still have the Stratos on board, which is still 1,800 damage. So this does get in for a fair bit either way here. But Reaper tagging in for 3 and Stratos tagging in for 18. Ripping a card out of the hand. If it hits a DD Survivor, that thing will not be surviving. But it hits a Smashing Round here, which is actually going to be pretty good for Dump Truck. You probably don't want to lose the Stratos at this point. Now, if Jim Bob summons out a Survivor crashed into the Stratos, that will indeed cause the Stratos to be gone here. But it looks like they're just going to set 1 and set another and pass. So looks like they don't have the most ideal cards. Yep, setting all of them. I think that makes sense. But this also does telegraph that that set monster is not something like a spy. You know, it is something that Dump Truck can get over if they want to. Going for pre-mat here on the Disc Commander. That's going to be very good. Getting more cards to just draw into things, potentially out the Restrict or the Dim Fizz, whichever one they want to. Heavy Storm would obviously go crazy here. So that's something to consider as well. Breaker is going to be pretty good here, all things considered. What do you break, though? Do you break... okay, Pulling the Rug will come down either way, so that will be banished here. It'll be banished. Get it out of here. Banish it. Get it out. It is banished. Yep, there we go. And hitting into a Morphing Jar. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Unfortunately for, you know, Jim Bob, it actually got rid of just a bunch of cards that Dump Truck probably didn't need anyways. And now they still get in with the Reaper attack, so... yes, so yeah, these will still attack in for 300 and 300. So That will be a bit unfortunate for Jim Bob here, losing a card from the hand. Hopefully it's not a good one for them. Okay, losing the Mirror Force would have been a pretty good one, honestly, I will say. But going for Goldsark here as well, getting a banish in there. Probably going for Survivor, I assume. Survivor's pretty good, but yeah, Morning Dart is pretty based, I will say. I agree with Ratgraz on this. I think it's a pretty based card. Very, very cool stuff. Heavy Storm, also a good option to get here. I don't hate Heavy Storm being the Goldsark option. But yeah, Jimbo probably has a way to deal with what's going on here. I mean, I assume they probably have like a Survivor or something like that to get surviving. You know, that's going to be pretty good for them here. But we'll have to see if they do have that. If you don't have Survivor, you might have Rhoda. You know, Rhoda is a good thing to search into Survivor, into attacking into the Stratos, you know. So, MST on one of the back row, trying to protect whatever they're doing here. Hitting a Soul Exchange, so a bit of a dead card under Restrict. And then Warrior Lady coming down. So Warrior Lady will also be able to deal with Stratos, although you might want to deal with the Reaper if you want. But Dust Tornado hitting that Dim Fizz on attack deck. That is going to be a bit interesting here. Because now you basically force Jim Bob to make a decision. Do I banish the Disc Commander? Looks like they will not banish the Disc Commander. I think that does make sense. But they will Fisher away that Spear Reaper. That's not banished here. That is actually engrave. Because there's no Dim Fizz up anymore. And so that is kind of a clean out to the board a little bit. Not perfect by any means, but it is a bit cleaner than you might expect. Dash Shoot here, ripping a card out of that hand. So let's see what's in the hand. There's just a Ryza, it looks like. So spinning back that Ryza. And leaving Dump Truck with a hand of what? What is going to be left there? Looks like Soul Exchange, MST, Call of the Haunted, and Dust Tornado. I mean, that's going to be pretty good for Dump Truck here. That's going to be very good for Dump Truck going into that graveyard to grab back the Disc Commander to get 2 draws. You also have that Dust Tornado to deal with the Restrict. So this is looking very, very good for Dump Truck here. Now, it's not ideal because you've got Heavy coming down the pipeline in a turn or two. So you don't necessarily want to set everything, but it looks like you might have to here. Just to deal with the other things that Jim Bob might have. But it's not the worst thing in the world. It looks like Banisher coming down, so Banisher will be able to banish whatever, you know, is on field, or if you want to go for a D-draw or something like that, you know, you can banish that. But honestly, if you're Dump Truck, you probably don't care because, you know, you've used up Premat, calls your other way to revive the Disc Commander. I think Fearmonger's gone as well, so you don't care about that. So, yeah, you're probably fine here, you know. So, yeah, Call the Haunted for a Disc Commander. That will indeed go through. So Dump Truck will get 2 draws here. 1, 2. And then Dust Tornado on the Restrict probably just to tribute over the Disc Commander for a Monarch. So seems good to me. If they don't have a Monarch, that's unfortunate for them. I mean, they did lose a fair amount of Monarchs there, unfortunately. So would make sense if they don't. And it looks like they do not have one. So they're going to attack into the Banisher with that Warrior Lady and then attack directly for 300. Hey, every poke counts, you know. Unfortunately, a Survivor or something would be pretty bad here for Dump Truck because it attacks over the Disc Commander there. Sidra will also be pretty bad for Dump Truck here. They're really hoping to get into a Monarch here, but it did not come through. That Disc Commander is engraved. It's not banished. Not banished. There's no banishing card on field. Restrict does not banish. So get that thing gone. Get that thing engraved. It might not matter here. I mean, Premat and Call are both gone, as well as the Fearmonger, but like, it's just good to have it engraved just in case. You know, you never know what will happen. But yeah, the thing should be engraved. Dust Tornado on the Mask of Restrict there. So it seems like something's going to happen this turn. Soul Exchange over that Sidra for another Sidra of Dump Truck's own. Makes sense. You know, this way at least you get the Sidra out. And, you know, you could just special summon this Crash. But this way at least you have a monster, right? E-Call coming down for probably a Stratos, I assume. Stratos search out another hero, maybe a Neos Alias. Yep, there's a Neos Alias. You could also go, if this deck is playing Captain Gold, actually, Captain Gold would have been crazy there because you go Stratos for Captain Gold, activate Captain Gold's effect to search out Skyscraper, beat over the Sidra, but Cypher Soldier deals with that either way. So Cypher Soldier, very, very good counter card against this deck. It just gets in so much damage so quickly. So, yeah, attacking over that Stratos there, and then attacking in directly with the 2100 on that Sidra. So it's going to be very unfortunate for Jim Bob, dropping them down to 850. Still within BrainCon range, still within, like, you know, pre-mat range. They've got that. But obviously it's not looking the best here for Jim Bob, especially with that Cypher Soldier on field. You need to clear that somehow. How are you doing it? That's the question. Looks like they're not. That's how. So yeah, GG's indeed. The Machines taking down the Warriors here. Yep, D-draw in hand. Dead D-draw. Nothing you can do with that anymore at that point in the game. But that's going to be pretty good. So that's going to be Dump Truck moving on to the finals. Let's dive in to Clemens versus Kesha. See who's facing him off in the finals there. Seems like Kesha won game 1. But, you know, Clemens has got a fair amount of Flying Kamikiris engraved there. They got Wild Heart as well engraved. I wonder why I'm pointing out Earths and Winds. No reason for that. But they're setting down 1, activating a knock on the set monster, hitting a Sangan there. That's going to be pretty good. Then going for creature swap here on the Zaborg and the set monster. Unfortunately, Phoenix Moonblast will spin back that set monster to prevent that creature swap from going through, but it was a good effort while it lasted there. So I wonder what that set would be, because all the Kamikiris are gone, so you don't have one of those to give, but it could have just been a weak monster. But yeah, it's going to be a bit rough for Clemens here. They're going to take 2,400 to the dome. And yeah, Kesha's going to pass back. What will Clemens do in this situation? Set 1 pass. I mean, sometimes you do what you got to do, right? So, Snipe Hunter coming down. I mean, Snipe Hunter could wrap up this game unless Kesha gets very, very unlucky, which could happen. I've seen it happen before. You know, that's one of the reasons why Snipe Hunter is both the best and worst card in the game. But it looks like that will not happen this time, so they'll be able to pop the set monster. And unfortunately, we will not get to see the Desert Twister go off. Yes, Clemens was playing Desert Twister, which is a very, very cool boss monster for him this time. But unfortunately, couldn't quite get it out. I mean, there's a reason why that deck is not the best in this format, but it would have been cool to see that on camera at least once. But anyways, we got Dump Truck versus Catchers in the finals. You know, big surprise, Perfect Circle Mirror ending the tournament. You know, not probably what people want to see, but it is what happens in this format, right? You know, Perfect Circle is very centralized in deck. Very, very good deck. And, you know, as time goes on, people experiment with these formats more. I could see it potentially falling out of favor, right? You know, like with GOAT format, everyone thought that GOAT Control was the tier 0 deck in that format for a very long time, but then it eventually fell out of favor, and because other decks, you know, were discovered and rose up to counter it, like Chaos Turbo, right? So, okay, so Desert Twister actually did come down versus Wagamuffin. Very, very cool. I'm sad we didn't get to show off that one, but yeah, so I'm glad you got to actually bring out Desert Twister at least once. Very, very cool card. Very neat sort of boss monster here. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. But let's see. Looks like there's going to be a quick break before the final match. But yeah, I'm just going to pull up Desert Twister in case people don't know what it is. I'll just go here. I just have the random Venom deck that I played a bit ago on the channel. But Desert Twister, you spell summon it by banishing 2 winds and 1 earths from your graveyard, and then 1 per turn you can discard a card, then target a spell trap on the field and destroy it. So very, very cool stuff. But yeah, it's a fun boss monster. It's not like ideal, not the best in the world, but it's cool. So I'm just glad that people, you know, are trying it out. Only play Crystal Beast. I mean, Crystal Beast is another deck that you can play in this format. So yeah, the Chad Desert Twister versus the Virgin Dark Arm Dragon. Yeah, we got to bring back Twister Return. You know, you banish your Stratos and some Earths like Lily or something, and then you bring them all back, return them back. Probably don't have life points to pay for Lily anymore, but, you know, you're still attacking in for a bunch. So that would be fun. But unfortunately, I think the darkness probably overtakes it. But speaking of the darkness, I should mention, probably won't spend too much time in Dad Return format. It'll probably be like only a week or two, depending on how many decks that I have to play. Some decks that I definitely want to play are, you know, I want to play the Gigaplant deck that you can play in that format. Obviously, it's not in its like final form, right? You know, it's doesn't have gigabytes, doesn't have like a ton of things, or supervised, that is. But you still have Lone Fire, you still have Gigaplant, so it might be fun to sort of experiment with. And also, if I put Gigaplant in the thumbnail, I'm sure people will click on the video as well. But I do think it's a cool deck, so I figured I'd show off its first form of it. Probably show off Six Sams as well. I just love Six Sams, so I figure I could do that as well. Maybe Gladiator Beast. Maybe it's just they don't have Geysaris yet, so but it could be good just to show it off. Whoops, not that one. I wanted to click on the one under that. It could be good to show off the, where'd it go? It was right here. There it is. But it could be good to show off the deck like right before it gets tier 0 status. So, that could be fun. And Darius is cool. Darius is a good card. But yeah. Looks like Demtrik's going to go rent some videotapes from the local Blockbuster. Because this is, 2007. So, Blockbuster's still around, going strong. But yeah. Arm Dragon is Kino. It is a bit Kino, I will say. Unfortunately, it's very, centralizing. It dominates everything a bit. So, yeah, snow is falling down around the country. We got some snow here as well a little bit. Not too much, but yeah, we had predicted the snow at least, so we were prepared for it. But yeah, I've unfortunately long left the days where I just trudge around in snow behind me. Like I'm like it's lost its wonder for me. I like it. Snow is always nice to have if it's just a little bit, out there sprinkling, enough to crunch under your shoes as you walk around. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. I've lost that wonder of youth, So sorry to say, but I wish I could go back to those times, the simpler days when the crunch of snow was enough to excite me, But now I'm just like, it's snow. It is what it is. It's cold water, But Cider coming down to clear that breaker is going to be pretty good there. And yeah, 7-1, passing back, catch a draw on for turn here. Fortune Breaker couldn't trade with a back row, but it's probably fine with that. Stratos going here, searching out a hero. Are they going to search out Captain Gold? Probably not. Most decks don't play that, but hashtag Crush Snow card. Yeah, that would be a much better virus. The snow virus. As long as it wasn't actually a virus, but just a card that called it virus. But that'd be awful. A virus transmitted through snow. That would be so scary, right? You just walk around in snow and then you get sick. That'd be awful. I mean, I will say there are actually some viruses and diseases that were frozen under the ice a long time ago. That with global warming and things like that, it could potentially become an issue in the future. Who knows? That's what people say, but just good to point out. As a fun thing, snow viruses could be real in the future. Yay! Isn't that a fun future that we have to look forward to? But yeah, that's a little fun fact for you out there. Very, very fun. Guy says, don't get much snow in Scotland, just cold. That's unfortunate. I feel like if I'm getting cold, I'd like to get snow as well, because at least there's a little bit of icing on top, a bit of icing on top of the cake that is the earth, Yeah, I don't know. It's just a nice little thing. I associate winter with snow a bit, so it's nice when we get snow in the winter as opposed to just bitter cold. But yeah, we haven't really gotten much snow this year. I'm up in the Northeast in the U.S. We haven't really gotten much snow up here, unfortunately. We got a little bit, sprinklings here and there, but not compared to the snow we've had in the past. But Cider coming down, Tomato coming down, crashing in to that Trooper, dealing 1,000 plus 2,100. And yeah. CTV was also sniped there, so that's very, very good to hit, it looks like. Yeah, get that CCV out of there. Or no, it wasn't sniped, it was milled off the Trooper. Yeah. But yeah, very good to hit. Get that thing out of there. I don't like that thing in my formats. Unfortunately, it's still around for a little bit longer. Won't be around too long, though. They do ban it eventually, but definitely is a degenerate card. I don't know why they felt it was okay to have around for so long. I mean, I do, money, but still. How are 6 Samurais on dad return? That is something that I'll be trying to answer in probably my next video, actually. Because there was a deck of 6 Sams that actually won in the middle of not quite dad return format, but basically right before dad return format, before the ban list was updated. But with the card pool still around, so you had triple dad still running around doing stuff. John Moore actually won with 6 Sams. And so that's very cool. So I want to experiment with that, see how it goes. And yeah, so that'll probably be my next video. Partially because it's just got the deck list already available to it, so I don't actually have to cook up anything myself. I can just basically take the list, switch around some things to adjust for the ban list, and then leave it at that. So, we'll see how it goes. I could definitely see it being just a case of a lucky day. I could also see it, John Moore's a very, very good duelist, so I could see it just being his skill just carrying to the top. But I don't know. We'll see how I do with it. But it will be fun to experiment with. I love 6 Sams. I think they're very, very cool. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, there goes the Gold Sark there. Banishing a card to get for later. What are they going to get? Pre-mat. Pre-mat's going to be decent here for that Disc Commander. Although Kesha could potentially save back or removal for the pre-mat here. So, yeah, I assume it's probably going to be in the Rogue tier, his Real Idol one, but, you know, it'll still be fun to experiment with. But yeah, it's sort of like, I think it was probably, you know, in the GX era, I think when it first came out, it actually surprisingly good. It can take people by surprise. It's just people need to adapt to playing it and figuring out how the deck actually works at, you know, peak capacity. I don't know if it's like the best deck in the room in some of those formats, but it is a very good deck. It's won Demise tournament, made it very far in Trooper as well. So it's a deck to respect, at least in those formats. By the time Dead Return comes out, though, there's so much power in that deck. I don't quite know if it can compete, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But looks like Dumbtrick's going to search out a Reaper there. Get that Reaper to hand. Right, guys, come join us on the YGO from Zero Discord server to play these old formats. Very, very fun. And, you know, if you don't have time for like a local or something, you can just ask for games whenever you're free. And, you know, generally there are people around to play them. So, BrainCon will wrap up the game here if Ketcha does not have anything to deal with this. And it looks like they probably don't. They're going to take 18 and then 24 on top of that. Okay, so going on to game 2 here. So Dump Truck taking game 1. Perfect Circle Mirror, the classic mirror from this time period. Probably not what people wanted to see when they jumped into a format titled Zombie, but it is indeed what you're going to get. So, it's like that Rolling Stones song, you know. Can't always get what you want. You can try sometimes, but you just might find you get what you need. And apparently what we need is some Perfect Circle Mirrors, you know. That's just how it goes sometimes. But it's still fun to watch. There's a lot of like interesting back and forth that goes on in them. There's a reason why this mirror is so highly regarded, because it is very, very skill-intensive mirror. A lot of things to consider. And also there's no like set, you know, build of the deck. People still adjust it, you know, to this day. A lot of interesting considerations to make for the deck. So, you know, it's never quite a pure mirror, as it may seem, right? Like Avarice is in Kesha's deck. Not every Perfect Circle Monarch deck plays that. So we'll have to see exactly how this game goes here. GG indeed. This has been a good game. Good locals overall. So both these players have won locals in the past as well, though. So we're not going to get a new locals legend here, but it will be cool to see. Dumptrick has won the most locals with 20 wins total. And Ketches has won the third most locals, or at least tied with the third most locals with Clody. But yeah, so both these players have won a fair bit in the past. So we'll see who actually takes the crown in this one. Will Dump Truck cement his lead even further, or will Kesha cut into that lead and start to claw back to claim just definitive third place, not tied? We'll have to find out. I know I should put like a poll, like who will win, Kesha or Dump Truck, but I'm too lazy. It's a lazy Sunday, you know. There is snow on the ground outside. Yeah, so I'm just taking it easy. Chill stream, you know. Yeah. Sangan coming down to poke in for 1,000. I love Sangan running into those back row there. I recently played in a Yada tournament, and, you know, Sangan just an MVP into multiple back rows. Very fun. Thoughts going into Glad format. I do think the Glad format, listen, I'm a Glad fan. I love Gladiator Beast. I think it's a cool deck. I played actually in a format library Gladiator format tournament in the past, and I had fun with it. So I'm looking forward to, ooh, that's interesting. Yep, okay. So misclick there. Very clear misclick, but yeah, go and pitch a Zaborg to spin back that Sangan there. Then you got Call the Honda to bring it back potentially. It looks like they are going to bring it back here. They probably wanted to, you know, save the call, but they're like, well, Dumptrick knows about it now, so I got to do this here. But I also played around TTers, things like that, so that's pretty good as well. But they're going to tribute that Zaborg for a Ryza spin back the back row. I wouldn't necessarily do that. Yeah, it's a TT there. I wouldn't have necessarily done that if I was Kesha. I would have probably just sat on the Zaborg, attacked in, because you generally don't know what you're going to get with back row, especially in the Perfect Circle Monarch deck. It's generally things that can be chained to the summon of something, or like the effect of something, right? Like the Ryzas there. So yeah, I think if I was Kesha, I just would have attacked him with the Borg, you know, just been like, well, if that back row is something, you're going to use it either way here. If it's not, then at least I just attack in and Yeah, the only thing that really stops there is Mirror Force, but it doesn't even really stop that because it just spins it back for a turn. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a misplay on Kesha's part, although you could argue that, like, now you get DD Warrior Lady or something and to banish the Sangan, and then they don't get the TT on that, but they're just getting Stratus instead, so I don't necessarily know how I feel about that sequence of events there. Not necessarily the sequence that I would have gone for. But I don't know what's in Kesha's hand as well. That's something I always say. It's very different being in the commentator booth as opposed to being in the games themselves. Like, you never know what people have. Yeah, and also, you never know the pressure of actually playing in these events on camera, right? So, I don't say all this to like judge people harshly or anything like that. I just say it to sort of point out what I would have done. But next week will indeed be a Perfect Circle local, so get excited for that. I know we've had some recently, relatively, but you never have too many Perfect Circle locals, but that'll be a fun one. So I still need to decide on the actual day. Next week is a pretty busy weekend for me, but I'll let you all know when I know what day that will actually be. It might be Friday. It might be Friday night. We'll have to find out. We'll find out together, and I'll post it both on the Discord and also in the YouTube community page, because I realize that that's a good way to get people who, maybe they watch my streams, watch my videos, they don't quite, follow the Discord as much. That's a good way to get them to actually know the event's happening and to join the event. So, yeah, hopefully that'll help with attendance next week. But I mean, 8 is a good number. We got 8 for Zombie here, so I assume we'll get at least 8 for Perfect Circle. We might even get more, so we'll have to see exactly how much we get there. And yeah, it'll be pretty fun though. Either way, I love Perfect Circle. I think it's a fun format. I'm excited to see what people bring. We might see a fair bit more of these Perfect Circle mirror matches here coming down. But yeah, 36 or bust. 36 cards or bust, 3600 or bust. I'm not sure what 36 or bust means there. But yeah, 3600 subscribers. I can see that. Yeah. Let's get to 36 players or bust. Yeah, that'd be a wild locals. That'd be the biggest locals we've had. I think I'm trying to remember what the previous biggest locals was. It was definitely in the 10s, right? I don't think it's gotten over 20 yet, but that'd be cool to get one day. I think these are single day events. They have to be at a specific time, so it makes sense why we've never really gotten like up to that number. But Breaker coming down, trying to hit that set, but that's going to spin back the Breaker. This does give Kesha another use of Breaker, but it probably is still good to have there. So yeah, I'll go to top of deck. Kesha's not drawing anymore. So just giving Kesha another normal summon there in a hand that seems a bit light on back row is going to be pretty good for Dump Truck overall, I think. But they're going to go into main 1 here, go for a Rhoda, search out something, maybe a Stratus of their own. They've used up Stratus, though, I think. Yeah, they used up Stratus. So they're going to search out a Fearmonger. Fearmonger, summon out, just poke in for 1,000. If they attack over that, you get back the Disc Commander. That's going to be very good, obviously. So, yeah. Pretty good for Dump Truck here. Yeah, Don DeLude would go kind of wild there. But I think Fearmonger is a better option overall. I mean, a lot of Perfect Circle decks don't play Don Salug anymore just because it's like, I mean, it is a fine card, right? You can get a hand rip there and, enjoy that. But like, if you got Fearmonger, right, that does potentially bait out something from hand or it baits out something, right? Otherwise, you're going more plus than your opponent would be going minus if you just ripped in with a Dawn, right? Otherwise, you potentially hit like a Crow and, Crow, there's going to Crow here anyways, right? So, yep, there's the Crow. So effectively, you've ripped away a card from your opponent's hand either way. So it ultimately doesn't really matter there too much. And that's pretty good for Dump Truck, I think, overall. Warrior Lady coming down. So Warrior Lady going to be able to banish that Breaker there. So, get that off the field. Though Dump Truck is going a bit low in life points here. So not ideal for them. And no back row here. So that's also not going to be ideal for them. And a Snipe Hunter coming down. We've been seeing a lot of Snipe in this local. Snipe is a very interesting card for sure. I'm not the biggest fan of Snipe Hunter, just because like whenever I use it, it's always 1s and 6s. And I never feel good to actually get an actual hit off Snipe Hunter, right? Like, it's just a very awkward card. It's not a pleasant card to play. And I don't like cards like that. That's why I don't like Dust Shoot so much, because Dust Shoot is also not really a pleasant card to play, right? A lot of the time you draw it when your opponent does not have 4 cards or more in hand. Can't use it. Then when you do use it, you just feel bad because you sack your opponent. So like, it's not ideal, I think, in my opinion. But Avarice here is going to hit the Stratos. A very, very good DD Crow from Dump Truck here that will stop that from going through. And Yeah, both players' life points are equal, which is kind of cool, but that spy is going to complicate things a little bit here, bringing out another spy. And now Cider attacking in over that set monster is going to be a Reaper, so that will protect Kesha here. And there might potentially be a Ryza or something coming down as well from Kesha. Will that be happening? It looks like it will indeed be happening. Ryza coming down, spinning back that set monster. Makes sense. And then probably attacking in... Well, you might attack in the Cider, yeah. I don't hate that. Life points don't matter as much as just getting rid of the biggest threat on board to you, which is probably the Sidra. But yeah, I get why people like Sniper, okay? I'm not saying Sniper isn't based. It's just not based in a way that, you know, I can really enjoy, right? So yeah, it's like I'm in base 10, it's in base 2 or something, right? Actually, it would probably be in base 3, right? Because it's just 3 options. I don't know. But, yeah, Kesha is in a pretty good spot here overall, I think. They've sort of equalized, or not equalized, but they've stabilized. But hitting the frog is obviously not the best here. Means that Dump Truck will have free tribute fodder a lot of the time. Kesha's still setting another monster there, passing back. If you don't set another monster here, you potentially die to a Ryza coming down, so I think that makes sense. Unless the back row is something. It could be something real. But Ratgrad is base 0. Base 0 would be interesting, but the Spice says Snipe Hunter is the best worst card. I agree with that. That's sort of how I view it too. It's just like a card that it's just like when it goes well, it's crazy good, right? But when it goes poorly, it's just so bad. So looks like I'm getting aggressive here, switching the spies to attack and attacking over the Ryza with that Mobius, and then attacking into the set monster with the spy, hitting a Disc Commander. Not ideal for Dump Truck if they don't have a Crow, but it's still going to be pretty good. And you don't really care about the spies remaining on field, given that you got Frog coming back every turn if you need it. So, Kesha in a bit of an awkward spot here if they don't have a way to revive that Disc Commander. If they do, then they're in a really good spot. But Cider is also going to be pretty good here. Tripping that for a Zaborg. I don't know you need to do this. I get why you do it, but I don't know you need to. Because, like, the idea behind not doing it is that they've got a frog there either way. So, okay, I guess they're going to go for Solex either way here. So, it didn't really matter. You'd be bricked. But, like, if they had a Ryza here, they'd spin back the Zaborg, and then you can't do anything with that card. So, you're just taking more damage next turn. Whereas, otherwise, you can spell summon outside, retreat over Zaborg, and then pop the Ryza when it comes down next turn. So, like, I personally would not have done that. But, you know, I don't necessarily hate the play. It's just, like... Actually, I do hate the play. I kind of hate the play. But, I think it plays too hard into Ryza. So, yeah. But anyway, it wouldn't have mattered here either way. Actually, it might matter this turn, but actually, it would have been now. It wouldn't have mattered here because they're tagging the right order. So, yeah, that will indeed be the end of the game here. No matter what you bring out, it's not going to be enough to protect yourself from that Ryza attacking into it. So, G freaking G indeed. Very, very good games here. Very, very cool games, and we got to see 2 different builds of Perfect Circle. And yeah, the deck is very, very good. Very, very close games indeed. Very, very cool games. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. This was a fun one. I enjoyed commentating this. I enjoyed showing it off, as I always do. And if you liked what you saw here, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get up to 2,000 subscribers. I have the sub count on screen and the sub goal we're trying to get to as well. I bring this back. I got rid of it when I started double streaming on Twitch, but I'm not really double streaming on Twitch anymore because it is more hassle than it's worth. So I brought it back here. So if you want to get me up to 2,000 subscribers, that'd be really good. And I could do a special subscriber video at that point, depending on what people want to see. But yeah, unfortunately, Prada says zombies, not so zombies anymore, unfortunately. But that's what happens in modern innovation. You know, modern deck building principles and ideas and more testing and more sample sets. It does indeed lead to formats changing, but that's not a bad thing. You know, we've seen some great changes in formats. We've seen some great innovation in formats. I mean, look at the evolution of GOAT and Edison and things like that. A lot of different innovations happening there and a lot of changes even to this day. So yeah, hello Dump Truck, congratulations on your victory there. Adding another notch to the wall there. Got up to 21 wins. So that is a full 4th of the locals that have been held because this is locals number 84. So 21 out of 84, that's a 25% victory rate. That's pretty good for one of these events. So congratulations to you. And yeah, so I'm going to call this stream here, all things told. But yeah, I'll be having more data return videos coming down the pipeline, then into Glad format. and beyond. So I hope you all enjoy them as always. Yeah, almost at 2K subscribers. We've actually been going up a surprising amount in the past couple weeks. I haven't been posting as much videos just because of personal things, but yeah, also Dad Return for it. I did not expect to be as popular as it was, but the FTK video is actually doing really well now. The Daddy Issues video is doing really well, although I think that's just because the thumbnail is like very funny, which is part of why I made it that way. But yeah, so hopefully we can make 2K at some point. So, subscribe if you're not already subscribed to help me get there. And if not, no worries. Just like the stream, do all that stuff. And yeah, but hopefully we can keep growing in the future, keep growing these locals, keep growing these events. And yeah, hopefully it just grows Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. So happy to have there. But yeah, I try and make them funny sometimes, but sometimes it's like, the end of a long day and it's like 11 p.m. at night. I'm trying to get it out before midnight. And I'm like, I can't think of anything. I'm just going to put something together and have it there. But yeah, if I can try to make more funny thumbnails, I will. It always more activation energy for me than the other thumbnails. So but yeah, try and come up with more in the future. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed as always. I'm gonna be signing off here, and yeah, hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Hope you enjoy the holiday if you're in America and you celebrate the President's Day. But yeah, I'll see y'all around. Peace.